So we left off in Hank Zipzer Help, Somebody Get Me Out of Fourth Grade, with Hank and his two friends, Ashley and Frankie, trying to figure out 10 different U.S. cities with the word rock in them. And they got stuck on number 2 and needed help from Hank's sister, Emily, and her friend, Robert Upchurch. But when they got to get help, Catherine the iguana was sick and they were feeding it chicken soup. "Don't you guys knock," Emily said. "Catherine's not feeling well." "Really? She doesn't look any worse than usual," I said. "Hank, you have no sensitivity to the iguana world." "Emily, it really hurts me to hear you say that," I said, clutching my heart like she was breaking it. "Hank, this is no time for sarcasm," Ashley said. "You're right," I said. "Ash, turn on the radio and see what caller we're up to. Robert, get your brain over here. We need it." Ashley switched the radio from Emily's country music station. I told you she was weird. To WFUN. Cousin Ralphie was just saying that the 12th caller had phoned. "Great," I said. "We still have 4 callers left." "Make that 3, Zip," Frankie whispered. 15 minus 12 is 3. Frankie knows that Math and I don't party much together, and he's really nice about not embarrassing me in public. If Emily had noticed me make that mistake, I would have never heard the end of it. Emily doesn't make math mistakes, or any other kind of mistakes either. She is a super brain. "Robert," I said, "we need 8 cities that have the word rock in them, not counting Little Rock and Rockville Center. Can you do it?" Robert nodded. "Of course," he said. "I can almost name 40 countries that produce wheat." "This isn't show-off time, little man," Frankie said. "Stick to the basics." Ashley was already dialing the phone. I had forgotten to write down Cousin Ralphie's number, but Ashley had it in her head. Thank goodness. It's times like these that really frustrate me. Sometimes I just don't like my brain. "Robert," I said as Ashley dialed the last number, "are you sure you can do this?" "Of course I can," he said. "I can do it as sure as there are 13 characters in the ancient Hawaiian alphabet." "How do you fit all those facts into that pinhead of yours?" Frankie asked. "Shh, it's ringing," Ashley said, shoving the phone into my hand. "Cousin Ralphie's Top 40 Hour," a voice said on the other end of the phone. I couldn't believe it. It was Cousin Ralphie in my actual ear. We got through. "Congratulations, you're the 15th caller," he said. "Name 10 cities with the word rock, and you'll be the lucky winner. On your mark, get set, go." I opened my mouth to speak, but only a tiny squeak came out. Frankie saw the panic in my eyes. "Breathe, Zip," he said. "Oxygen is power." I took a deep breath and tried again. I still sounded like there was a chipmunk stuck in my throat, but at least a sound came out. "Little Rock," I yipped. "And Rockville Center?" "That's 2, Cousin Ralphie hollered. 8 more to go." Ashley tapped Robert on the back. "You're on, genius," she said. "Rockford, Nebraska," Robert whispered to me, and I repeated it into the phone. "This kid's good," said Cousin Ralphie with a smile in his voice. "Lay on some more." "Keep going, Robert," said Ashley. "Blowing Rock, North Carolina, Rock Island, Illinois, Castle Rock, Colorado," Robert said as I repeated each one to Cousin Ralphie. I put my hand over the phone and whispered to Frankie, "How many is that?" "You've got 6, Cousin Ralphie answered. We all stared at Robert. He just stared back at us. I'm thinking. Ding, he whined in his nasal little voice. How about Rock City, Alabama? Emily chimed in. Remember? That's where I threw up clam chowder in the motel pool when we were driving to Florida. Ew. I was pretty disgusted by the memory, but I was glad she came up with it. I repeated it to Cousin Ralphie. That's 7, he said, but I hear you slowing down. Not me, sir, I said. I have thousands more. Frankie looked at me like I was crazy. Robert was squeezing his nose and closing his eyes really tight. Rock Springs, Wyoming, he spit out like his face was going to explode. And there's another Little Rock in Iowa. I repeated those two to Cousin Ralphie. Even he was pretty impressed. That's 9, young man. I need one more, and you're on your way to the Stone Cold Rock opening night concert. And did I tell you you're riding on the band's personal bus tour? I looked over at Robert. He looked stuck. Dig deep, little man, Frankie said to him. We need you now. Robert's whole body twisted from side to side. He looked like a baby chick hatching from an egg. You know, when they come out all wet and skinny and scraggly looking. It felt like hours were going by. Time is running out, Cousin Ralphie said on the other end of the phone. Are you still there, caller? Suddenly Robert's face turned bright red. Red Rock, Ontario, he said, without waiting even half a second. I repeated what he said. Red Rock, Ontario, I screamed into the phone. There was a pause. I'm so sorry, Cousin Ralphie began. Red Rock, Ontario is in Canada, which is just what I was going to point out. I said that Red Rock, Ontario is a lovely spot, but unfortunately it isn't one I was going to say because we all know that Canada is not a state in the United States. It's its own Canada. Okay, I was stalling. Wouldn't you if your whole educational future was riding on this one answer? Robert shook his head. I'm sorry, Hank. I'm rocked out. I looked desperately at Ashley. She shook her head, and Frankie did too. They had nothing. It was up to me. My mind ran over every city we had mentioned. We had all kinds of rocks, a blowing rock, a red rock, a little rock. Hey, why not? I took a chance. Big Rock? I guessed. I held my breath. Good answer, Cousin Ralphie called out. What is your name, son? Hank Zipzer. Well, pack your bags, Hank Zipzer, because you're on your way to Philadelphia. Actually, Cousin Ralphie, I want to give the trip to my parents, Stan and Randy Zipzer. They really deserve some quality time together. Your parents? Are they Stone Cold Rock fans? Are they ever? My dad sings every one of their songs in the shower and at least 3 times a week. He especially likes I Was a Dirtbag Till I Found My Soap. He must be a real rocker, that Stan Zipzer, Cousin Ralphie said. Oh, yes, he is, sir, I said. He couldn't be more of a rocker. Stay right where you are, kid, Cousin Ralphie said. We're going to commercial, and when we come back, I'll tell you all about the fabulous trip you've won for your parental unit. Just then, the door to my sister's room swung open, and my dad came in. I looked at him in his blue boxers with the mechanical pencil stuck behind his ear. His hair was standing straight up from his head, and his newspaper was still folded to the crossword puzzle page. Any of you kids know an 8-letter synonym for an extinct rodent? He asked. I tried pocket rat, but that doesn't fit. That's my dad, I thought. A real rocker.